All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for what I'm considering our first Wednesday webinar of our 2024-2025 school year. It's lovely to see so many wonderful folks here today. Um, Before we get started, I'd just like to let you know that, knock on wood, we've been having a couple of technical difficulties because if it's not some technical difficulties with the first one of the season, then is it the first one of the season? Hard to say. But we are joined by David Katz today for his webinar, The Big Picture, Planning Made Easy. So take it away, David. Looking forward to it.
Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, depending where you live in the country or in where I am in Florida or in Canada. I wanted to thank you all for being here today. Some of us are already back in school. Some of us are getting ready for the kids to come next week, as I am, and some of us have a little more of the magic of summer. Those of us who maybe perhaps live in Canada or in the Northeast or perhaps in the Midwest as well. So wherever you are and wherever your stages of getting ready, welcome and thanks for being here at for what for many of us is a busy time of year. I wanted to take the time today to speak to you about planning. Planning is something that every teacher has to do. It does not matter the subject area, and it really feeds into many other aspects of being a teacher. Classroom management, for example, is one that easily comes to mind. If you don't have a good plan in place, it's going to be really hard to engage your students, in my opinion. So I wanted to take you on a journey today of planning. It's the way I do it today. I will tell you that I've been a teacher for a pretty long time, and planning has definitely been an evolution, and I hope that it will continue to be an evolution for me. I'm sure it will. So I want to apologize. We're having a little technical difficulty here, and so I'm using a slightly different platform of Zoom today, as Danae had suggested. So if things get a little weird, Danae is she's got her pulse on it, and she's gonna guide me through. But let's start with a little bit of pre-planning, I guess you could say. So I'm gonna share my screen here a minute and do that. And
David, it looks like it did that funny muting thing again.
Hello? Hello?
okay,
Hi.
there we go.
All
Nope,
right,
not.
you are good, David.
I am good. It's unmuted.
You sure are.
I'm unmuted. You can hear me, correct?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, it's gonna be a fun day. So, so let's get rocking here. So, planning the big picture. A little bit of fun little artwork for you. So, let me tell you first what you're going to learn today. We're going to explore various scope and sequence and year plan documents. Musicplay is a great place to find your planning documents. I know we all have different places. My county has them, but I'm gonna tell you a little secret, which I realize is not such a secret here since we're on the World Wide Web. But I have gone over to using the documents that are exclusively in Musicplay because, frankly, they cover it all. There's even correlations for the state of Florida where I live, but I don't even use that one as much because it's all there. So that's how much I believe in the planning documents of Musicplay, and of course the quality materials that go right along with it. And as you're going through those planning documents, as I'll show you, Musicplay does a great job in the planning documents of saying, hey, if you want to teach a particular concept, here are the songs and the activities that you can do to teach the standard. I mean, it's great. I wish when I was a year one teacher, I had that. I have to tell you, it would have made my life, frankly, a lot less stressful. But these lessons that I plan, I am a standard-based lesson plan kind of person. I look at the standards that I have to teach, I split them up, and I teach them. I'm thematically based too. I like to do Thanksgiving at Thanksgiving time, whether it's October or November, depending if you're in Canada or the U.S. But the standard, the goal is where I begin. I learned the other day, there's a fancy word for that. It's called backwards design. So the goal is where I start, and then I work backwards from there, how to get to the goal. And then we're going to get to see a couple of my cute little first graders from last year doing one of the lessons, because I think you have to see real children. But before we get to the lessons, I want to back the train up just a little bit. The first thing I want to do is talk about you. We are teachers. And teachers are givers by their very nature. I don't think you can be an effective teacher without having a sort of service giver type of attitude, mentality, personality. So this, I think, is important. I don't see this as a luxury. I see this as essential, is this thing that we call self-care, taking care of oneself. For me, that means self-care is something I have to do every day. So for example, when you get up in the morning, you need to, I believe, get yourself in what I call the right quote unquote headspace. So for me, it might be going to the gym and doing some running. It might be doing some stretching. It might be having a good cup of coffee to get myself ready for those first graders and kindergartners who are my first classes of the day. It might be going over and visiting with my colleague and my friend and not talking about necessarily the nuts and bolts of teaching or the kids. It might be talking about a great movie or a great television show I saw, or just something fun I did over the weekend. Those things are very important. I don't think you can be truly effective if you're not in that good place. So please just consider that for this year. I think you'll be glad you did. And I'm sure many of you already do that. I'm sure as good teachers as we are, we do that. But just a friendly public service announcement, I suppose. The next thing is, when we do lesson planning, or when I do lesson planning, because this is how I do it, and I'm sure it would be great to have a whole discussion about how we do lesson planning and do it differently. I find the best lesson planning is when I look at the whole year first. Again, I look at the big picture and then I draw it back in. I literally take the 180 days of school. I draw out the quarters, the 4 quarters of a year that we have, and then I draw out how many weeks I'm going to have, how many times I'm going to get to see the kids, the students. I make sure that I allow what I call fudge factor. So that's that room for error, right? Because life is never perfect. In Florida, we get hurricanes. In Alberta, Canada, you get good winter storms. School may be canceled. There's also tests, there's field trips, all of that stuff. So make sure you have a couple of weeks in there, a couple of rotations where they're kind of would be nice to cover, but if it doesn't happen, well, it just doesn't happen. And also that will stress you out a lot less, speaking from personal experience. So the other thing in pre-planning is you can tell your parents and your stakeholders what it is you're doing. Excuse me, I'm going to take a drink here. Advocacy, I have found, as I'm getting longer in my teaching career, is very important. I find a lot of parents are beautiful to work with, well-intentioned, but they don't always know what it is their child is learning exactly. It's interesting because we have standards that we follow. I think they have a better pulse on what their child might be doing in ELA or math than what they're doing in music. So my bulletin boards of late, and I'm going to show you these in just a minute, um, lie in showing what it is we're going to learn. Either that, or they might lie in advocacy. What does music do for the brain? What does music do for the heart? Those are the types of bulletin boards that I have been doing. I just did an advocacy one today for this year. I did one last year that was more what we learned. So I want to take you now into Musicplay, and I want to show you that, and then I'm going to show you the different types of documents that Musicplay offers. Keeping in mind, by the way, in addition to this PowerPoint presentation, you have a handout that outlines this in even more detail that's attached to this webinar today. So I'm going to take you now over to the Musicplay. So give me a minute to do that, because it's a little wonky and weird to do it this way today, because like I said, all the interestingness. Okay, so pardon me just a minute. I want to make sure. Yes, you can hear me. Okay, good. All right, let's go over to Musicplay. So this is my splash page. I'm going to take you, and we're going to spend a lot of time going down on this left-hand side all the way to the bottom to where it says lesson planning. So before I show you the scope and sequence and all that stuff, I want to take you to show you some of these awesome posters. So if you look up here, these are some really cool advocacy posters. I'm just going to open one up. I don't know which one it is. So, this is a really neat one. This is Music as Literacy. And this was really cool. I put this one up today.
Oh, David, I think it opened in a different tab, if you're able to show it.
It opened in a different tab.
Yeah, it's not showing on our end.
Okay, let me download it and see if I can do that.
Sure, sounds good. If you want as well, I can keep track of which ones you show, and I can show it at the end as well.
Okay, can you see it now?
Unfortunately not. I believe because you're just sharing one Chrome tab.
Hold on just a minute.
Oh,
What about now?
we sure can. There it is.
Okay. So thank you. So this is Music as Literacy, and there's little QR codes if the parents want to scan that on the poster you put out, and they can learn more about these. There's some very interesting articles that are attached with that. So that would be an example of an advocacy one. Now here, if I go back to the lesson planning, and I go down to, now we're going to move into scope and sequence almost, just about. Okay, if I go down here, so these, I love these posters. If you look, there's this one here, what we will learn pre-K through 6. And here we go. So I'm just going to kind of scroll down, and this is basically all the standards in poster form, and they're really colorful. You can get a color printer, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. Doing bulletin boards is not my jam. I know some people love to do them, and the fact of the matter is that I have a very colorful potential for a very colorful bulletin board that is very informative. I like the posters also, because these particular posters, because my older kids really can understand, and I see them in the hallway as they're going past, and they'll say, for example, oh yeah, I know the half note, and I know the quarter, and I know TT, or I know mi sol la, I know do re mi, and they're pointing out all the things that they know. I think, oh gosh, it worked.
I think your
great.
mom's kind of.
Did she text you?
So that's very exciting. So I'm going to go back to lesson planning now, and I'm going to show you now. We're going to go through some scope and sequence things. So let me get to that. Yes, there's a couple of different scope and sequences that I like. The first one, the sort of the basic scope and sequence. Excuse me, I've just lost my mouse here. All right, there we go. Is this K through 6 scope and sequence. So this one, let's see if I can, no, trying to see if I can open that a little bigger. Nope, not quite. Oops. Let's get out of that. There we go. So this one here basically takes you through a K through 5, or is it K through middle school, really, curriculum of what you learn. So for example, if you look at this one here, duration is extended by the tie fermata. You'll see that you don't really introduce the tie until 2nd grade. Okay, that's why there's a star there and through 6th, but you don't have a star or an asterisk in kindergarten or 1st. Okay, so that's your basic, but that's helpful to get you started. Like, what am I teaching? What are 3rd graders supposed to know? What is a 2nd grader supposed to know? What should a kindergartner know? It's helpful. Now, for something, then we start getting a little more in depth. That's a hard word to say, isn't it? So the next one is the scope and sequence with songs. So we go to that. Now, this I really like. This is quite detailed, but let's go to an example. Let's go to, this is nice because it has the elements of music, first of all. So she has some vocal developments here, and then beat and rhythm, and then all the grades that feature beat and rhythm. So if you're an elements of music person, this is really helpful. And I think we kind of all are in a way on some level. Elements of expression and tempo, dynamics, with still an element of music there. Melody, there we go. That's the big one, right? That's a big one. And then there's others, timbre, etc., timbre, depending how you say that. So if I go to beat and rhythm, okay, steady beat, right? I mean, pre-K, time for music, hello, beat, chant, and then you can see in 1st grade, we start getting into ta and tt. Here I go to 3rd. That's when I like to introduce the 16th notes kind of towards the latter half of the year. Right down here, I know it's awfully small, but it says, here, I'll make it a little bigger. It says Old Brass Wagon, and you can see the takatiki or whatever, system you use for that. This is really great. It can be a little overwhelming because there's so much. So this is the document coming up that I use the most. This is the one, this is David's go-to, okay? David's go-to is the one that says K through middle school year plans. I'm going to share this. And this is what I like to call, I think they call it year at a glance. So let's go to 3rd grade. I like 3rd grade. It's a good year, right? So let's look at September. I'm going to see if I can make it a little bigger for you guys. Okay, so here's September, and here we're preparing, and you can see T-ta-ti, we're preparing it. So my definition of prepare, or my understanding of prepare, is I'm not getting too formalized in it. I'm not really breaking it down. I want the kids to experience it, maybe in different songs and different, maybe body percussion, different games, maybe playing it on instruments, things like that. Then later on, I'm going to present it back or prepare it. So things that are presented are a little more in-depth. Obviously, in this case, 3rd grade, ta and tt, they know the half note they learned in 2nd grade in how I do it in the universe, and then whole note, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. That's my quarter 1 in 3rd grade. And then these are all the places. Well, yes. So those are the things that you want to present, right? And then melody, if you're doing do, mi, so, la, expression, instrument families, etc., etc. Now, if you're feeling like, let's say you go to melody and you're going, I don't really like these songs. Well, if in that case, if you go back to this scope and sequence with songs, and you pop on down to 3rd grade, or excuse me, I did that wrong. So here's melody, and I go to 3rd grade. Look at all the so, mi, do, so, la, mi songs, do, mi, so, all of that, tons. So what I like to do is I like to start with the other one, the one I showed you previously, the K through 6 middle school year at a glance. start at that place, and then if I want to kind of add to it, or I don't like what I see, it's not my taste, then I can go to the scope and sequence with songs. So, that was a lot, wasn't it? So we're going to go ahead now, and we're gonna take a look at how to develop one of these lessons using the scope and sequence. So I just showed you in the K through 6 year at a glance, I showed you the whole note, and I said I teach that in quarter 1, and I kind of said that deliberately because that's where I'm going to start. So the first thing is this. I'm going to take you through this lesson. The first thing I want to show you, though, is how to find a song easily in Musicplay. Some of my colleagues have complained. They said, oh, it's so hard to find stuff. I don't think it is, but you've got to kind of know what you're doing, right? So I'm going to go, my go-to point is always discover. If I click on discover, it takes me back to the home page. This is my splash page. See, welcome back, David. The whole note, it's going to be a 3rd grade concept. So I'm going to click on 3rd grade. Okay. And I'm going to click on songs. I want to use the song Whoopee Cushion today, which is a very fun song. It's a cute little song. And it's one of the ones that's suggested for the whole note. So I'm going to click on that. Now, I could put right here, I could type in whoopee cushion, but let's say I don't know how to spell whoopee. Is it like whoopie pie, or, it's a different spelling. So sometimes it's just easier to scroll down, and you can find it that way. Okay, so if you go to whoopee cushion, you've got all these different things that you can do to support that. But before we get there, I want to back the train up just a little bit. I'm teaching a rhythm. I'm teaching a whole note today. So the kids have to know what that whole note is. Now, there's lots of ways to do this. You could start with the song. You could say, look at the notation and go, oh my golly, what's that? Let's pulse that. How many counts is that? I mean, you could do that, right? I'm not going to do that today, though. I'm going to be a little more traditional in my approach. So I'm going to go to one of my favorite things in the universe on Musicplay, which is rhythm practice, which you can find in the same list here. So here I am on rhythm practice. So if I look down, I can see all the different rhythms that are taught. So I'm going to go to number 9, because that's where I see the whole note for the first time. And I'm going to click on that. And then the next thing I'm going to go to is I'm going to go to flashcards. Okay, now you can print these out if you want, but I'm too lazy to do that. So I just usually put them up on my Promethean board, and I scroll on down. Promethean board is like an interactive board, and I just scroll on down, and I just pick what I want. So here's one, right? And what I like to do, I like to do what I call differentiated body percussion. So this rhythm is ta, ti ti ta ta, right? And I know we have different ways of doing that. So I'm going to unshare screen it just for a second so I can show you what that looks like. Ta, ti ti ta ta. So if I were doing that, let me stop the share here. Okay. So if I were doing that, I would do, TT is going to be on my lap. You're not going to be able to see it. Maybe if I stand up, you can see it. Yeah. So here I am. So here's my hands, right? So if I did, oh, there's my virtual hands. That's really funny. So I would do ta, and then I do TT, and then on my lap, ta, and then ta. I flip it like a pancake. So every time I teach rhythms, I build those rhythms that way because I want the kids to have some way in their body to physically differentiate what it is that they're saying. So that's how I do rhythms. I find it to be helpful. I started to do it last year. I kind of came up with that, and and then a lot of times what I'll do also is I set my my barred instruments in pentatonic, and I set them in a round robin style, and the kids will go on the echo. When you do that, the echo rhythm stuff, I'll have the kids, they'll play a rhythm, they'll hear the rhythm, they'll play the rhythm on the instrument, then they go to the next instrument and they just kind of go down the line, which is a scream. It really is quite funny to do that, and they absolutely love it. So let me get back to shared screen. And here, and here, and let's hope this works. Okay, and Danae, can you confirm that you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so that's that. So that's the flashcards. Then I might do the echo rhythm. Now, really quickly, I don't want to labor the point, but if you don't know what the echo rhythms are, these are fantastic, and these are the ones that the kids can play along with. And I lost my, oh, there it is again. So I'm just showing you how I build a lesson based on a standard. That's what all this is about right now. If you're thinking, what in the world is he doing? That's what he's doing. So here is echo rhythm. And actually, they show you at the beginning, they give you directions that are essentially differentiated. Oops, I gotta.
Echo rhythm.
1, 2, ready, go.
And at that point, the kids can do on their body, they can go T, 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 ta, ta. Or sometimes I tell the kids to sing it on the pitch that they heard. T, 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 ta, ta. While they do the differentiated rhythm, they can do it on unpitched percussion. They could do a round robin on pitched percussion pentatonic and the bars. Lots and lots of choices. So now they definitely at this point are, we hope they're getting the idea of doing this whole note. So let's go back to whoopee cushion. All right. So let's get out of this. All right. And so I'm going to go back to my song, or I'm going to go back to Discover. And I'm going to go to 3rd grade. And I'm going to go to songs. And I'm going to scroll down because I don't know how to spell whoopee. And there it is. Okay, and now we're in. So I'm just going to give you some examples on how you could teach this. Go to the highlights. I like highlights because it's going to highlight each note, and they can identify the whole note. So show you what this looks like.
Ready, go. Someone put a whoopee cushion on my teacher's chair. She didn't see it there. She cried, she cried. She didn't see it there.
So they can identify the whole note. And then what I sometimes will do is, I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull away the share screen for a minute, is like for she didn't see it there, I might have them do the differentiated percussion of she didn't see it there through the song, or at least have them speak it, because it might be hard for them to sing it at the same time, but some way break that down in that way. The other thing is, let me go back to the screen share because I want to show you a couple more things with that song. Here we go. The other thing is, how do I get out of this? Let's just do this. Hold on. You will notice that there's a kid's demo with movement I love doing movement for praise. You could use, for example, you could have the kids make up their own movement. Now, whoopee cushion, I come back to later in the year, and I love to do this because it's also a round. And I think by third grade, I want my kids to be doing my students to be doing some simple two-part singing. So that to me means maybe a song with a simple ostinato, a partner song perhaps, and a round. And there are some good simple rounds in Musicplay. This is one. Another one is Donkeys Love Carrots is another one. But this is quarter one. I believe I told you with whoopee cushion with the whole note. I don't know that I want to do that in quarter one. I might bring this song back and say quarter two or even quarter three and do it as a round and say, hey, remember that song? Does anyone remember the funny movement that we did with the song? Let's do the movement again. Or if we don't remember, let's make up some new movement. Let's sing it in unison. Okay, now let's talk about what a round is. And then let's go ahead and let's add that movement and do it as a round this time. And I think that when students have movement to do, it kind of differentiates the phrasing to make singing the round easier, in my opinion. I've seen that in my own class. I might also turn it into an orchestration so that I've got the kids up and playing instruments. I want my kids, my students, I want them to sing, say, dance, and play, right? So I want them playing instruments, I want them moving, and I want them singing. And then if I really, really wanted to put a cherry on the top, and this might be turned into a 2-day lesson because this is getting long, I might go to my listening kit. And I might go to listening kit number 3, and I might go to Entry of the Gladiators. Let's see if I can find that fairly quickly. I know you're in here somewhere. There, no, Entry March. Oh, there it is.
It looks like we are still in the whoopee cushion.
Oh, okay, hang on. Thank you. There you go.
Probably think.
Okay, so this is Entry of the Gladiator, and you'll recognize this as circus music. And this is particularly good for me because living in Florida, Sarasota, Florida, is where Ringling based the Barnum and Bailey Circus. So that's a big thing. So now here we have this wonderful rhythm play along, and it's going to have a whole note as part of it. It also is a great review of form as well. So let me just play you a little of this, and you'll see the whole note, so they can play along with the various rhythm instruments to reinforce that. Again, this is a lot of material. If you're going to do all of this, I'd say it's a 2-day lesson. But again, what a great way to reinforce and re-reinforce a concept, a rhythmic concept, whole note.
I have a question.
Oh, finally, right? Okay. Now, if you think to yourself, one thing that might come up in that whole thing is, oh my gosh, that is so fast. And it is. So if you don't know this, if you go along to here where it says settings, there's a little gear here. And if you click on it and you go to speed, you can slow down that speed. And I do this a lot because that is a very fast tempo. Those you're going to set your room on fire with those rhythm sticks going that quickly. So if I do that, let's see if I can get it to go slower. Maybe you start there, and then the challenge is eventually the regular tempo, right? So that's an overall 1 to 2 day lesson on how to do a whole note. So the last thing I want to show you this evening is real human beings doing a lesson, building a lesson, using materials, using lesson planning materials and standards from Musicplay. So I'm using my own students that I taped these guys at the end of last year, and they did a lesson. This was a first grade class from last year. So they did a song called Bee Bee Bumblebee. So let me just show you the song really quick. I think that would make sense to do that. So I'm going to go to grade 1, and I'm going to go to, okay, there we go. I'm going to go to grade 1. I'm going to go to songs, and let's see if I can, here, let me do Discover for you. Let's see if it comes up with Discover. Let's see how I do. Bumblebee. Oh, there it is, see? And so I'm going to click on first grade. So this is the song. It's very cute, and there's a million different activities you can do with it. Simple song.
Bee, bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out.
Okay, so that's the song. My goal in doing this song with my kids were a couple. I wanted to start to present the idea of steady beat versus rhythm. This is something I start to hit hard in second grade. Remember, I did this at the end of first. So I'm kind of front loading, getting their brain ready. Yes, I know summer is long, but it is amazing what these children will remember. It blows me away. I don't know how they do it, but they do. I'm reviewing high and low with them, because when we get to second grade, we're going to be expanding that range a little bit more as well with the voice, with the human voice. And then also in the orchestration, this is their first attempt at doing that typical "Will you be my friend" rhythmic accompaniment. So I also want to review Ta and TT also. So I'm going to take you through a couple of videos, and then after that, we'll have some time for any questions you might have. So this is, oops, wrong video. And I'm going to share this tab. Okay, so this is just, unfortunately, I taped the first one the long way, but this is the only one. These are my adorable first graders. They really are cute. And here we are, and we're just showing that differentiated rhythm. You can see the ta that they clap, and then the quarter note they clap, and then the eighth notes they put on their lap, and they're singing Bee Bee Bumblebee. So this is sort of like the first stage of this longer lesson. This is all one day. This was all done in one day. With your hands, here we go. Bee Bee Bumblebee, lap, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his son. I declare that you are out. Good. Can we do it with our bee bee bumblebee? So I'm trying to get them to use a high voice and a low voice. Keep in mind, we have spent a lot of the year working on small is high, big is low. That is how the science rules go. Thank you, Artie Almeida, for that one. And we've spent a lot of time on just that whole concept of up, down, high, low, and every which way. So this is just another, I suppose, variant of it, but also with the voice as well and the expansion of the range. Same thing to show our low voice. You ready? 1, 2, starting with your hands, go. Bee, bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out. One more time with our high voice. Ready, go. Bee, bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out. So, with your hand. Oops, and I realize we're having a little skipping there in the video. I think it's just the capacities of the computer with everything going on. But that's that. So now what I want to do is I'm going to introduce a stretchy band in just a minute to them. And if you don't know what that is, you'll see it and then you'll know, to again reinforce the rhythmic aspects of this. But before we do it, I'm going to have them take the TT and take it off their lap and put it on the floor so they can sort of prepare them for the stretchy band. I think that's what I was doing here, if I remember correctly. We'll find out here. So this is the next part. They're in a circle, obviously, now. Oops. We go, ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, ti, 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 ta, ti, 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 ta, ti, 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 ta. Okay, now we're going to do it with the words. BB, bumblebee. Again, you start with on your lap because it's ta, right? Ready, go. BB, floor. Bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee. Stung a man, stung a pig upon his snout. There you go. I declare that you are out. You definitely know the words better than Dr. Katz. Okay, so now let's get out of this. Okay, so now we're going to have the stretchy band. Here we go.
Sorry, David, it looks like your video unshared.
My video unshared. Okay, let me go back. Okay, sorry about that.
All good. Technology.
Technology, right? All right, stretchy band. I'm going to share that. Okay. And,
Perfect. We can see it now.
okay, I'll pull it back so you can see it from the beginning because they are so stinking cute with this. They loved this activity. You'll see they giggle at the end. If you don't have a stretchy band, you gotta get a stretchy band. It's great. It's fun. Ready, go.
Bee, bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out.
All right. And I did put, I realize it's slowing down on my end, which it probably is on yours as well, but I put the links to those. They're unlisted for privacy, but they are in the handouts. If you want to watch the links later directly from my YouTube channel, it'll be much easier. So let me just take you through the last two. Okay, so this is fun. This is really cute. This wasn't my idea. This was Denise Gagne's video, but this is using high voice and low voice. I went on Amazon. I bought Buzzy Bee for the low voice and Bazina Bee for the high voice. And we're doing steady beat, and we're doing this as a game, as a sort of you are out kind of game. So elimination game. So here we go. And this boy is awesome, this kid, right at the beginning.
Hi, David. Sorry to interrupt again. It looks like it's doing another. Oh, never mind. We got it.
Stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out. Okay, so I think it was on, I think it was on Brielle. We started rushing the beat a little bit, but that's okay. Brielle, here's what we're going to do. You stay right there. Maddox, you are out, so you get to sit in your spot. So sit back down in your spot. Okay, and now we're going to trade Bazina out for Buzzy. And so which voice, boys and girls, when we trade it out for Buzzy, we should use a low voice. So everyone hold out their hands. Okay, Brielle, come into the center of the circle. Look at Alice. Okay, everyone hold out your hands. Okay, so we're gonna go B, ready, go. B, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out. Oh, I think it was Mateo. Very good. Okay, so Brielle, you go back to your spot, and now we continue with Mateo. Okay, and I don't think I usually sing that loud. I think because the camera was close to me. So I think of John Feierabend when he says, "Don't sing with your students," and then I listen to that and go, "Oops," but it is what it is. Okay, so now this is the like the final exam. So now the kids are gonna do the orchestration. It's got the "Will You Be My Friend" on the bars. The kids with the gyros they have a visual to look at. You can see this girl here. She's looking up at my Promethean board because I marked it where to do where to play the gyro. I'm supporting them by playing the "Will You Be My Friend" on an F contrabass bar. I believe it's in F pentatonic, the song. And you'll notice this is the first time they're doing this. So some of the kids just handles a steady beat on this. Some of the kids did get the "Will You Be My Friend," and some of them are in between, and that is perfectly fine. This is the first time they're doing this. This is tough, and this is our reality, right? We deal with all these different levels and where they're at. We meet them where they're at. So this is a great way to end here with this lesson here. So Bella, Isla, Jackson, Ricky, Ellie, and Alyssa, what is your job?
To do Will You Be My Friend?
Very good. Those of you with the gyros, what's your job?
To go on B and snout.
Good. And the rest of you what's your job? Sing the Bumblebee song. Okay, let me start it. Okay. Remember, quiet. Ricky, hover over the bars. Will you be Here we sing. Bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out. Again. Bee, bumblebee, stung a man upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. I declare that you are out. All right. Now I want to show you something really quick. When you go back later, this is a video you should watch. This girl right here, she got it. She was spot on. This girl here did not get it. She was doing a steady beat. So if you just want to watch the difference in the levels later on when you look at this video, it's really interesting to watch that right there. So I just point that out to you and leave that with you. So, okay, I'm going to stop share. All right. So what kind of questions might we have this evening, Danae?
Yeah, I've got a few of them. And just as a reminder, if anyone does want to ask a question here, just raise your hand and we'll get you in the queue. But first, I was wondering if you could just go over again the difference between prepare and present in regards to the year at a glance.
Right. So when I think of prepare means to, okay, I'll give you an example as a rhythm. Okay. If I were going to go and have the kids do an activity where they're moving, and they're moving to maybe what ultimately will be ta and tt. If they're moving to music in the classroom, let's say, maybe they're copying me. Okay, so they're maybe showing more of a macro with the ta and maybe a micro with the tt. That would be prepare. I haven't given it a label. I haven't shown it. I haven't shown the notation, whether it be just stick notation or if I've added a head to it. we haven't read them. We haven't done any echo practicing with them. We haven't done anything like that. So that to me is those two things. So I like to sort of front load it, and then I might do it in the same lesson, but I don't have to. I can go ahead and I can go ahead and I can do it in more than one lesson. I can do it over 2 lessons.
Wonderful. Thank you. I had a couple of questions about lesson planning and my list. Are you able to show or like making lists?
Yes, so that's a great question. I have not done that too much. But if you'd like to reach out to me, I can walk you through it after the webinar later on. Just give me a little bit, because we're starting school, and I'd be happy to provide that for the individual. I'd rather do that, take the time to do that, than do that on the fly today.
Wonderful. I will also say, for those who are interested in other things as well, we are having a walkthrough webinar at the end of August, just on those kinds of nuts and bolts. But you can see more about that on the workshop site. Somebody was also wondering, where did my questions go? When you are looking at the planning documents, are the songs in the order of how they're taught?
Not necessarily. Well, if I understand the question correctly, my understanding of the question is, if I were in September and there were 3 songs in September that focus on a particular concept, I don't necessarily teach them in that order. I teach them in the order that I think. I may not even do all the songs. I see it as a suggestion, and that is why I also said, if you don't like the suggestions, then go to the other document. Also, I think Musicplay has plenty of material, but I've also been teaching a long time, and so there are other songs that I know in the universe, and other things and other sources that I can go to as well. I mean, there's no rule saying you can't, but the document still has importance and efficacy, because it also keeps me on track. And even though I've been doing this for a long time, as many of us have been doing this a long time, it still helps to have it's like a pacing guide, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. Thank you. I do see we have someone with their hand up. Sabra, if you'd like to unmute.
Hi. Yes.
Sabra.
Hi. So I wanted to know, so how, because I've been looking through, and I'm thankful very much, because I've been teaching high school for 22 years, and now I'm an elementary music teacher. So this is really new to me. And so I've been looking through it. So how do you flow, and how do you transition? What's the best way to do that with the material that is there? Like if I'm teaching my 1st grade class.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. That's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a great question. So what I do is I look at the concept that I'm going to teach. Then I go, let's take BB Bumblebee. Okay, let's use that that's a good example, because I did it. So my big thing at the end of the day, I wanted to do the orchestration, but obviously I wasn't going to start with that. That's just too complicated. I have to build, and I got to build the skill, even if they know it, even if they're reviewing it. So I usually like to start with the song, Now sometimes I don't, like I showed you the whole note where it's, you're introducing the rhythm. But in this case, I like to start with the song. I think they have to know the song before they can do anything with it a lot of times. And then we sing the song, we did the high, we did the low. And then I thought, well, we should review ta and tt. So I added that too, because I've got melody and rhythm go hand in hand, right? So that's an easy transition. Wanted to emphasize it with the stretchy band. Then I thought, okay, the kids know the song, they understand the high and the low concept. I wanted to begin to prep this idea of beat versus rhythm, the rhythm being ta and tt, which they did with the stretchy band and the body percussion. Now I want to go back to steady beat with the game, which is going to engage them also, and it's another gateway. So I did that. Then by this point, they've got steady beat versus rhythm. They've done it many different ways at this point. They've got high and low. Now I'm gonna really, because they've got to have that really integrated, in my opinion, before you can get to an orchestration, even the simplest orchestration. By the way, if you're doing an orchestration and you think it's too hard, then it's too hard. So modify it. You can leave stuff out. You can change the part. I mean, it's your classroom. That's my opinion. I think it's an ethical thing to do. I think it's okay. We've got to know our kids, and we want this to be a pleasant experience for them and a productive experience for them. Does that help, Sabra?
Okay. Yes. Now, the gist of it is, if I've got Musicplay up, that's my thing, is how to transition on my Promethean board.
Oh, from one to the other?
From one thing to the other. Does that make sense?
Yes, I set up a lot of tabs. So
Okay.
that's what I do is I see what you're saying. Yeah, I set up a lot of tabs. At the beginning of during my planning period, Sabra and I are in the same school district. So it's really nice to know you, Sabra. She's new this year. So that's what I do during my planning period a lot of times, is I just set them up. Now I'll tell you a little trick is if I'm on a 5-day rotation, I don't turn off my computer at night. I keep it on. And then I just log into Musicplay the next day because I don't feel like setting up all those tabs. And there are ways also, people are talking about the lists too as well. So that's another way to do that as well. I know lists are helpful. I'm a tabs kind of person. I like to be able to see it. I touch it because we have Promethean boards. I touch it and I go. But lists are another way of going, and it sounds like we're going to have a nuts and bolts webinar on that at the end of the month, which is fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. I've got one more question actually, which is perfect for timing. How/can you use Musicplay to supplement an existing curriculum? Have you heard anything about that prior, or do you have suggestions?
I guess I already do. I mean, I think that okay, let's do something. This is the most basic thing. Something thematic. Let's say Thanksgiving is coming up. Okay. And I want to do a show for Thanksgiving, or I want to do Veterans Day. That's a good one because a lot of people are going to do Veterans Day shows. Veterans Day in the United States is November 11th. There's a lot of materials. If you look under units in Musicplay, there's a ton of units on patriotic music or Thanksgiving or Christmas, things like that. So that's thematically, that's kind of like the easiest way. But even if you wanted to do, say, the whole note, okay, or you want to go to a particular concept, there's an activity I do every year with hand drum and with the recording. I don't want to say the particular curriculum. It's an excellent curriculum. It's very well known, but wasn't my idea. I got it from the particular curriculum that I use. But now that I have Musicplay, I mix and match, and I think that's great. That's using your creative juices as an educator and an artist to do that.
Excellent. Yeah. And we often say at Musicplay that Musicplay is a menu. So there are lots of ways to use it, lots of different resources you can pick and choose from and make it fit your teaching style the best as well.
Yeah, and I'm glad you just said that, because I think I very much do treat it like a menu. Because like I said, well, you can do the Fuchik entry of the Gladiators, or you can do, there's this great rhythm racers, which I love for the different rhythms. If you don't, it's not, I think it's under games. It's like I'm addicted to it. I think I have more fun than the children, I must tell you. I think I do it more for me than I do for them sometimes, that one. I just love it. And, you know, there's lots of ways to get there, which is important because we have lots of different kids who are interested in different things like we are. So it's important. My goal, honestly, in Musicplay is great because it does this, is that when a child leaves a class, they may not have enjoyed everything. They might have, which is great. But at least there was something that happened during that class, some activity, some moment where they go, oh, that was really cool. I'd like, can we do that again next week? That to me is the greatest compliment, when they say, can we do that again next week? So I think that's the magic of Musicplay, that it's not only the quality, it's not only the coverage, it's not only the engagement, but it is the quantity. There's a lot, and it continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. One of the challenges I find with Musicplay is keeping up with all the new stuff.
We do like to put out some new stuff very regularly.
Yeah. Good problem.
Yes, exactly. I'm just seeing one last question in the chat that I can answer. You were just talking about Rhythm Racer. Awesome game. It is in the games section. But that is actually our time for today. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you, David, for an excellent webinar.
Thank you.
You can definitely, I'm sure, stay tuned. We'll have David on more, I'm sure. So that's always welcome and wonderful. Thank you, everyone, again, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Have a good school
Bye,
year.